Welcome to GearCheckGames. This is part 1 of our commentary for Metroid Prime. I'm Joe. As usual, I've got my two good pals, I almost said Tran and Day, Dan and Trey with me here, as well as our requisite sci-fi game guest, our buddy Trent. Welcome back.
Hello. It's good to be here.
I feel kind of dirty for talking over the music on this title screen, because... oof.
This
a good one.
Is the best title screen of all time.
It's definitely very good.
Yeah, just to get one thing out of the way early on, I am actually playing the Wii version, which, if you live in North America, does not have this title screen, because it was only ever released on the Metroid Prime Trilogy collection, which kind of rolled all three games into one, with like one menu shared between all three.
A sin.
Which is great for the sake of like load times and like getting into the game as quickly as possible, but also I feel like a lot of the charm of playing each game individually was lost, because
fusion bonuses.
the Prime games always had great title screens, like so detailed and like atmospheric before you even start the game.
No fusion suit.
Sorry.
No fusion suit.
No fusion suit, no hard mode, no hit system.
Wait, you're not doing hard mode?
No. Well, okay. Part of the reason I didn't do hard mode...
some kind of baby?
Okay. Reason number one.
I mean,
hard mode...
It changes nothing about the game other than enemies hit harder and take more damage. Yeah,
they should have just... They should have just called it long mode, because that's all it is. It just takes longer to defeat enemies.
Ironically, you can't get the long beam in this game.
I mean,
yes, fortunately they don't. I
mean, the plasma beam kind of counts like that.
I guess.
But also, if you're playing the trilogy version, when you unlock hard mode, the trilogy version's weird because when you clear the game on the GameCube version, you can still load that file from the last point where you saved. But on the trilogy version, when you view the credits and like you get your final rank, it overwrites your save file and starts you from the beginning, like by default.
No, don't do that.
And that's the only way to play hard mode is on a file that you've already completed on normal. And I know there's some like if you've played the Prime trilogy, there's some semantic things that I haven't gotten into. We'll talk about those later. But for the time being, if you're playing hard mode on the trilogy version, you, like, everything that you've already scanned, including, like, critical plot progression stuff, is registered as already scanned.
Ooh, that's
So
nice.
if you don't know by heart, like, what you need to scan to progress, it can be really annoying. And just because I wanted this playthrough to represent, like, a fairly standard playthrough of the game, like most people would see on their first run-through, I decided to do normal, just, it's gonna be faster, it's going to be more efficient, and hopefully, and just less weird looking.
I love this shot right here. It's so good.
It's really good.
Weirdly enough, so I owned this game, and I still own it technically, and played a bunch, at home. But weirdly enough, I'm getting nostalgia right now for when I played this part at on like a GameStop demo or something, like a Target or something.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, I guess now would be a good time. How are you all introduced to Metroid Prime for the first time?
My dad bought a GameCube with a bunch of games for me when I was a child, and this happened to be one of them.
Sweet.
I played a demo at like a store. I couldn't figure out how to aim, so I didn't really get past the first area. And then for whatever reason, I bought this game.
It was hard, but I did it.
And
it's like the monkey puzzle stage in The Lion King on Super Nintendo.
Oh god.
Dan was just like, I gotta beat this game, but I can't do it here at this kiosk. I gotta buy it to figure out how to aim the camera.
Yeah, so this was my first Metroid. Well, either this or Fusion were my first Metroid game. And when I got it at home, then it took me forever to progress through the first area of the game for a completely different reason, which we'll see coming up soon.
Uh-oh.
But I was a little baby as a kid, and very, very terrified of things that weren't actually all that scary. Probably.
Like these
Well,
floating
we were
parasites.
all babies once, Daniel. Some would say that I still am, but regardless.
Nice.
How about you, Tret? Or There I go, mixing up your names again. Trey, how are you introduced to Metroid Prime?
Probably many this playthrough.
So
boy, I can't wait.
I was hyped for this game because as a kid I was a huge fan of Super Metroid because my uncle let me play that game and gave me a Super Nintendo when he upgraded to a 64. So I had been getting Nintendo Power at the time, so I got that DVD from Nintendo Power that had that came in the back that had the little. It was like in a black square, case, and it had like a video preview that like went over a whole bunch of like cool points of this game.
Like alien gets spraying on the visor when you shoot.
Yeah.
So when I When I first played this game as a kid, I couldn't bring myself to go past that like starting catwalk in this room because the music started playing and that giant like alien creature was there and I was certain that it would come alive and attack me.
Oh, wait a minute. Dan was just like, I know we sunk $50 on this game, but I don't think this is for kids.
I can't remember if I got someone else, one of my parents to get past it for me, or if I just...
It's like your mom.
Yeah, or if I just like sucked it up and did it myself after putting it off for like a week or two.
Give it here, Dan. I'll show you how it's done.
But also notably, so to call back to Dan in his introduction, he said he couldn't figure out how to aim for, I presume, the GameCube controller.
Yes.
Joe is actually playing with the Wiimote, because the Prime Trilogy backported Prime 3's aiming system to all of the Metroid Prime games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. To pretty enjoyable results, in my opinion. Like, I've always enjoyed the GameCube version, like that's the one I grew up with, and until very recently I was kind of adamantly in the camp of GameCube or bust as far as the controls go. But then I rearranged my room to the point where now I'm sitting about like 5-6 feet away from my screen, which has proven to be like the ideal setup for games that use the Wii remote pointing. And you know, now that I've experienced the Prime Trilogy, like, with the Wii controls in a room that actually, like, facilitates comfortable aiming, like, it's kind of hard to go back to the GameCube controller, because you really do have a much higher degree of freedom and precision in this version.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm still probably going, like, I'm not going to say, like, GameCube controls are bust, because I fully respect the Trilogy controls, but anytime I'm going to play Prime 1 and 2, it's still going to be with controller.
Well, I mean, it is kind of, like, dumb that you have to have... It's kind of like the problem a lot of people had with, like, Skyward Sword the first time, where, you know, I feel like people's experiences with that game and its controls kind of vary based on what your entertainment setup is like.
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke about Skyward Sword when you were like, yeah, I hated the controls in this game until I moved 5 feet away from my TV.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where you kind of have to, like, meet the game halfway to get it to work, but, like, once you do,
yeah,
you know, it works.
This version of the game freaks me out because, like you said, not only are there the new motion controls, but also the little voice. Yeah. The little voice of that lady saying "logbook updated." That wasn't in the original. That's a carryover from 3 that they brought back.
From Prime 2 actually. That was the first game where they had that. Actually, I think Prime 3 has like a different sound effect.
That's the voice of Samus's mom, the suit.
Before we get too far out of our introduction, you're also going for 100%, correct?
Yeah, 100% item collection, 100% logbook. So I'm going to be scanning every creature.
Wait, are you actually?
Yes.
Oh wow, this is going to be a long one.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, there's only 18 Raws.
Yeah.
But they are a little longer and larger in size than the Banjo Raws were. He
did route out a relatively efficient route for it.
Yeah, before we get too much farther, I'm just going to come clean here. As I was recording this, I recorded this in like 4, roughly an hour and a half chunks, and the whole time I had this little Word document open on my phone, on which I made a list of every collectible and scan in the game in the order that my route took me past them. just so that because I mean, I don't know if you've noticed from my prior playthroughs, but I do not always perform the best in front of a camera. So I just wanted to make sure that like there wasn't going to be a section of the game where I had to like go back across the entire map because I missed like 5 missiles or something stupid. And for the most part, I succeeded, but you know, once we get a hold of the power bombs, there will unfortunately be some shenanigans as to you know, finding ammo for them.
Oh god.
Yeah.
The drop rate for pickups in this game is really, really low.
I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is that you're limited to 3 power bombs max.
Yeah.
It's really dumb.
At the beginning, right?
No, there are no power bomb expansions.
In this
No,
game.
there are.
Oh, really?
There's like 3 or 4 of them, but there are power bomb expansions.
Must
Which
be
give you
something
exactly 1 additional power bomb each, so you can have a total of like 6.
Yeah, I thought they weren't added until Prime 2.
Well, oh god, forgive me if I'm remembering this wrong, but in Super Metroid, couldn't you carry like 40 power bombs?
Oh yeah, a ton.
So many power bombs.
Yeah, you weren't limited.
God, this is the Wild West back then.
Well, you could do.
So
what happened?
We're on for confessions and whatnot. I kept telling the guys and myself that I was going to do a Prime playthrough, get myself refreshed by the time we went to do this. Didn't happen. I blame it partially on Joe trying to have me run the 100% route, which I willingly agreed to.
Wait, hold on. Don't pin this on me.
Yeah,
that was,
Joe.
I did no such thing. I was just like, oh, you're gonna stream Prime for us? Here, let me get out my guide so you can like collect items as you go.
Oh, you're gonna stream Prime? Cool. I'm not gonna watch it or respect it unless you get 100% though.
Guys, this is my favorite Smash Brothers Brawl stage.
The real issue is that I just wasn't feeling that good that day, and I kept trying to do speedrun strats that I've never practiced.
Well, fortunately for the sake of this playthrough, I don't know any speedrun strats, so I'm not going to attempt any and fail. So we've at least got that going for us.
From the research we did, during that day and whatnot, pretty sure there's not really been any 100% runs of Prime. And
yeah, see, that's the problem. Is when I first decided, I'm gonna run Prime this year.
Also,
the first thing I did was go on. What's that?
You straight up lied. You're like, I don't know any speedrun strats, and then you were using fast missiles.
Oh. Okay, but I mean like real ones, not just. For me, that's like the tactical reload in Metal Gear, where it's like.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's an exploit, but the game also doesn't really do anything to prevent you from doing that. So.
Yeah.
Fast missile is definitely a requisite strategy for Prime speedruns because it's just your damage output is massively increased.
That's like in Halo 1, if you hit your reload and switch weapon at the same time, your weapon will keep reloading even while it's not equipped.
Yep. Except for the shotgun. Doesn't do it for the shotgun.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, so before I started this run, I went on, I can't remember the name, but wherever all of the world record speedruns are cataloged.
Speedrun.com.
Okay, wow, what a name. And I couldn't for the life of me find a glitchless 100% run of the game. Because I wanted, what I wanted to have was like a list of all the items in the order that you get them on like a, fairly efficient route, like standard route through the game. And just, I couldn't find anything like that. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just make my own from memory then.
Well, dude, you should make that part of the keywords for this video. It may not be a speed run, but it kind of is like you said.
It's a segmented speed run.
Yeah, that's like you tried to do the most efficient. Oh, I've never seen that before. It's always just blown up by the time I get here.
It's a speed run, just as I'm standing in place watching an in-game cutscene play out.
Hey man, there's always humble beginnings to every category.
Yeah. Gotta shave that time down. Those are rookie numbers.
But for real, Joe, if you're not willing to submit it yourself, I would absolutely be willing to sit down one weekend and actually do a run of, one segment, single segment, 100%, no out of bounds, Prime 1, full logbook.
Well, at least just to get the conversation started, as a resource for people, because yeah. I am not going to in any way claim that this is as fast as you can get through the game as, on
Right, but someone has to take the first step.
All collectibles, all logbook entries, watched all of the like little event things happen, watched all space pirates get blown up.
Yeah, the 110% runs with it.
That's right.
So, I don't think we said anything about the Parasite Queen, other than the fast reloading.
I'm disappointed that we didn't get to see the part where she turned the stage upside down.
Yeah.
God, I was so sad when I popped in Smash Bros. For Wii U, and they didn't have the frigate Orpheon stage anymore. So
Yeah.
You're doing Metroid Prime dirty, guys.
So is it like the story of the Orpheon, like you hear the distress call, but then when you get there you find that it's been like overtaken by the parasites?
Yeah.
But you read the logbooks and it's like, oh, they've been experimenting with this stuff called Phazon. The hell is that?
Yeah. Well, I find it kind of unintentionally hilarious here that the pirates are so inept in this game that Samus has to, like, respond to a distress signal that they sent.
Well,
I mean... Help! Someone! Anybody! Hey guys, I'm here. No, not you!
I mean, that's actually, like, in, sci-fi, genres and stories, like, that's not an uncommon thing. Like, when you're stranded out in space, you're just like, I could pop this distress beacon to try and get my allies to come. But it could also be that just the people that I don't want to come will.
Yeah.
Well, I like to live.
Isn't there an episode of Rick and Morty about that, where he's like, oh man, you always go after beacons because either everyone's dead or you get treasure, or both.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's Ridley. Didn't we already kill him?
Oh, yep. Say hi to Ridley again, making his, requisite appearance.
He's bigger, badder, and more metal.
Yeah.
He doesn't screech like Fusion, though.
Yeah, thank God. Part of the reason we wanted to do Prime after Zero Mission is because, in terms of the Metroid timeline, this is the second game in the chronology, to my knowledge, unless there's one I'm forgetting about. And so if you look at this game within the grander context of the series, that's the first time that Ridley returns as a boss. And one of the clever things they did for Prime is, since it's so soon after the events of the original Metroid / Zero Mission, Ridley hasn't fully, like, regenerated his body yet, and, like, he has all of these visible cybernetics on his body. And, I don't know, I just thought that was clever.
So, like, he is in there, like, he's, like 30% organic, but, like, before he, like...
He's basically Grievous right now.
Yeah.
So.
Because, like, when you see him in Super Metroid, he has a fully regenerated, like, new biological body, but I guess this was so soon after that, it just wasn't feasible yet. Also, if you look closely in the background, and I didn't notice this until, like, watching this footage back for the first time, but as the station is exploding, you can see the bodies of space pirates just, like, floating there.
Yeah, very low resolution, like, JPEG.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're just, like, image... Well, no, that one looks like he's kind of...
They're actual models. Flat, with no bones, but models nonetheless.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so at what point do you think they decided, Ridley can regenerate, that's one of his powers?
Well, I don't think he regenerates. I think the space pirates just, like, reconstruct him from whatever remains are left over.
They've been doing a lot of biological experimenting. They can kind of macabre something back together.
Maybe they just have, like, a little test tube full of Ridley cells that they always keep on ice.
Yeah, because
he's gonna get himself blown up eventually.
I always got the feeling that they're, like... they just, like, brought Ridley back a few times, and they're like... Okay, now we're starting to kind of have, like, continuity with these games. So why does Ridley keep coming back? They rebuilt him bigger and stronger.
You'd also have to remember that in Zero Mission, a game where you fight normal, full-flesh Ridley, you also fight a mecha Ridley.
Yeah.
So, like... He's a bit of an egotistical dude where he's just like, I want to have, like, 8 robot copies of myself.
He's like Eggman. Can you imagine, like, in Ridley's bedroom, like, the space pirate's like, hey, you want, like, just, like, 9 spare livers? Here you go. You might need them sometime.
Trey, to be honest, I'm kind of cracking up here just trying to imagine the prospect of Ridley in a bedroom, or having a bedroom.
He's too big.
It's just, like, very posh, very, like refined as he gets into his giant like pterodactyl bed.
He's too big for a bedroom. And Smash.
Oh boy. Well, thanks for joining us on part 1 of this wonderful adventure. Hopefully we'll have more fun Metroid banter for you in the future. So tune in for part 2.
Bye.